Hi, Rita. How are you doing this week?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming back in.
Thanks.
I'm so glad to chat with you again.
Thanks for having me.
Last week we kind of touched on the subject that you were having a little bit of conflict around impatience. You were feeling like you were having trouble not wanting to wait.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit more to me about that?
Uh, I don't know. I guess I find I've been a little bit more scattered lately, and which is leaving me feeling really impatient all the time. And I guess, reacting emotionally to it rather than, kind of figuring out what's going on or what the cause might be. Just like impatient. Like,
More of a reactional thing right now?
yeah, I think so. But yeah, I don't know. What happened was, uh, my son getting ready for school, and he's been having some issues with his teacher. She's a little bit more strict on him, so he doesn't really want to get ready in time. So he'll often play the I don't want to go to school today card. And then by the time we're ready to go to school, and I drive my neighbor and her two kids. So like we have to be ready for a certain time. We have to be out the door at 8:15 and there's snow on the ground and we need to shovel the snow. And so I, I'm frazzled because there's so much to do in the morning and there's not enough time. And then I end up snapping on him, and I snapped on him the one day, and then ended up apologizing and being like, "I'm really sorry, buddy. I shouldn't be talking to you that way."
Okay, so I'm hearing you say that it's causing you a little bit of anxiety and to feel anxious when things are kind of going a little different and not according to schedule, and
Yeah,
especially when it's in the morning time.
yeah. Mornings are the worst. I find it's hard.
And what are you having to do after you take them to school? Like, is there a destination that you're having to get to pretty quickly in the morning as well?
Yes, certain days there is, and other days, like I have other priorities and things like I need to get done. Like if there's, I have to take my grandmother to the doctor's office, then, it's like, okay, we have to be there and then do something else right after. So yeah, usually I have lots of plans happening, and then school as well. A lot of times I have school right after. So,
Can you explain a little bit to me, like, when you started, like, noticing that it was causing you anxiety and you were feeling anxious about having to wait for things and
um, I feel like it started the week after reading week. Week after reading week, I came back, and I really don't feel like I had much of a reading week. Like I had to go to Celine Dion with my girlfriend, which was great. Um,
sounds
but I
fun.
lost like 2 full days of like study time, and I don't feel like I actually ever recouped that time.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and
you don't feel
I'm
like you've
behind.
caught up since
Well,
that time?
yeah, I feel like just with the amount of schoolwork that we have right now, I was like, I wish maybe that I'd better organize my time over those couple of weeks, because now it's kind of caught up. And we've I think I'm managing my course load okay, but I'm still frazzled about it. Like it's one of those things where I just feel frazzled and impatient because I know, um, that there's so much to do in such a short
Yes.
amount of time.
Yes. I can definitely understand you with that one. Having
Yeah,
children and having to balance a career is a tough predicament sometimes, and it's hard
yeah,
to find that teeter-totter balance between the two.
it is.
But it seems like you have goals in place of what you want to achieve and that they're
Yes.
very important to you.
Yeah.
What are some pros and cons, we'll say,
Okay.
of how you've been handling things?
So some cons definitely to think about is like it upsets my son when I raise my voice, because I've been working really hard at not yelling. I grew up with a yeller and I got screamed at my entire childhood. So the first couple of years that I was a mom, I would yell in response to behaviors and things like that. And so I'm working really hard on not doing that. And I just, over the last maybe month or so, I feel like I have been yelling more than I would like to be. And I mean, I think it's, too, that he's with me all the time, right? And so there's maybe less break, especially because there's a lot going on with school and I'm finding I'm having less time. for me. And so then maybe I'm feeling a little bit more impatient because of that. But probably like I don't see any pros to
You don't
me
see any
reacting the
pros?
way that I'm reacting. No. Other than just the fact that like, yelling lets a little bit of steam off, but at the end of the day, it's not the healthiest way to handle it.
So, okay, let's look at some things. What do you think are some healthier options or alternatives that we can kind of explore to kind of help alleviate some of this
Yeah,
tension that you're feeling from a very over scheduled day?
life.
It seems like you're
Hmm.
sad. Like, it seems like every day is very
Yeah.
overscheduled and you're not feeling like you can stretch yourself out enough.
Right. And I generally have time where it's like I'll have a day, like a Monday or a Tuesday, and then I'll just be like, okay, I'll set myself aside and I'll like make sure that I have this day. But I didn't get that, and I probably haven't had that in a couple of weeks, so I don't know. My introvert self is like, I haven't had enough self care time.
So you're pushing yourself to the back burner so
A
that
little
that way you
bit.
can meet the needs for your friends and your neighbors and kind of everything else but yourself, really.
Well, I guess I just, yeah, I'm not scheduling the time, I suppose, or prioritizing it as much as I should be.
And do you think if you had more self care time and could kind of find a way to put your schedule into like an organized way that would work for you,
You,
would that help to alleviate tension, or do you think there's some other ways?
you probably would, but I feel like I don't see that happening for at least a few more weeks while school's on the front burner, right? Um, but I do think that I guess I need to like have a scheduled day in the week where like I just that's my day and like I don't, you know, kind of allow that um extra stuff in. But I mean like it's hard because there's so much happening and group projects and trying to meet with other people's schedules and stuff, and it can be difficult to carve out that time when there I feel like that's not right now my priority.
Very much so. I can tell that from previous conversations that your child is number one. That is
Mm,
your major priority. And a lot of the times, from the conversations we've had, even relating to your boundaries and stuff,
mm,
it seems like you're putting yourself in number two.
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
you have pointed out several times that you recognize that you have to take care of your self care needs in order to be able to, you know, do the things that you do in different aspects of your life.
yeah,
And that's a very powerful thing right there, having the ability to be able to recognize what you need to put in place to kind of help you with things.
yeah, I do. I agree.
So, focusing on you
Mm-hmm.
and what's going on with feeling, like you can't be waiting or you're rushed or you're overworked,
Mm-hmm.
what are some things that we can kind of try to experiment with over the next week to kind of see what fits for you? Do you have anybody that can kind of help you with, you know, making sure that you have a self care day?
Um, I mean, my mom occasionally will take Dallas. She usually takes him on like Tuesday night, but like I haven't asked her to take him like, you know, so I can have some time. It's usually like, oh, can you take him because I have like XYZ that I need to do, but it's not really like carved out time. Um, so maybe what I can do is like find a way to set aside that time for me, and maybe ask for help because I'm not very good at doing that either. Um, I'm better at like taking help that's offered, but not really asking for it when I need it. Um, so, yeah, I could probably do that. Ask for more help.
So, are you comfortable in the next week of kind of sitting down and maybe having a conversation with your mom,
Hmm.
kind of letting her into how, like, you're feeling and maybe some of the stuff that we've talked
Yeah,
about, like, how you kind of just need a little time. And I'm sure she would love the time with her grandson as well.
yeah, she probably would.
Yeah,
You're right.
grandmothers are that way.
She would, and she never complains about it. Like she's always like, "I love having this kid, even though he can be a little troublemaker sometimes, and he leaves messes." But
Well, that's
She loves the
amazing because then
time.
you'd never feel like you're actually burdening her by asking her.
No.
And I'm sure once you have that conversation, she's going to tell you the same, that
Hmm.
she just wants to make sure you're good, right?
Yeah.
And that if you're good, then Dallas is good.
Yeah. That helps definitely. That's the thing, right? Is that I don't feel like I'm 100% for Dallas, and that always leaves me feeling like I'm not, you know, because I, got to be mom and dad because dad's not here right now. So it's like I got to be enough for him and at least, show him that I love him and that I'm not like just being impatient with him all the time.
And I'm sure he knows that because you are there all the time. And I'm sure he knows the love because he sees that you are doing everything, both mom and dad, as you said.
Right.
And that is very special. And he will appreciate you for that so much when he gets older. And you need to be very proud of yourself. Very, very proud.
Thank you.
And know that these situations that you're dealing with are very, very common.
Yeah.
It's common because it's so hard for people and parents to find that balance.
Yeah.
And seeing you get upset shows me how important your relationship is with your child.
Yeah. It's priority. Like it's number one for sure.
And I can see that.
Yeah.
So, what do you think you can do for me over the next week to kind of get this ball rolling? Because I really want to see you get back to that place when we first started meeting.
Yeah.
Because I've seen you progressively get stressed.
Yeah. Well, I think I need to make sure that I'm carving out the effective amount of time that I need for myself. And I'll have that conversation with my mom this week. We're overdue for a phone conversation in the next couple of days, anyways. So I'll bring it up and I'll be like, "Listen, I have, you know, this, and this going on over the next couple of weeks. Is there any way that you'd be able to, um, you know, take him for some time on a weekend when she has some time, and then that way I, don't have to worry about certain things. I can focus on me and maybe carve out some time for just me instead of like me doing things for, me obviously for school, but that's not really self-care time."
Alrighty, so we're going to try this over the next week.
Okay.
I would like to have you come back in next week
Yep.
so we can kind of touch base and see how this is working or if we should modify it a little bit.
Okay.
But I would like you to do that. And then next week, hopefully, we can have a little bit more clarification of where we're going to go from there.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you for coming in so much today, Rita.
Thank you for talking to me.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome. I'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Bye.